The 5 worst handguns to get for beginners. I'm going to make some picks that hopefully are going to challenge you, maybe even add a little bit of value. I've been shooting all my life. I've owned 2 gun stores and a range. I've been a Louisiana State Police certified instructor since 2012. I've written for the Firearm blog for about as long. I am a Thunder Ranch adjunct instructor, U.S. Law Shield independent program attorney for Louisiana and Mississippi. So I get to talk to members and clients who use their handguns in defensive shootings or get them taken by police. So I get a sneak peek at what guns they pick. I've got a pretty good idea of the mistakes that people make when they buy their first handgun. So let's go through this list. We're not going to do low-hanging fruit. Don't buy a Japanese Nambu pistol that goes off if you squeeze the slide too hard. Don't buy a Desert Eagle in 50 cal as your first handgun. Don't buy a Derringer. No shit. I've known people who own like 100 plus guns and have never even shot a Derringer. Who's even buying a Derringer, period, much less as their first gun? And we're going with this one because it's actually pretty common, unlike those other guns I just mentioned. No shotgun revolvers. Cut that shit out. No Taurus Judge, Smith & Wesson Governor, Walther, Speaker of the House, whatever the fuck. These guns are just as dumb as their names. They typically shoot 45 long Colt, and I swear to God, I'm going to ban your pedantic ass if you correct me on saying long Colt, or 410 shotgun shells. They do both poorly. If you want something that can shoot 45 Colt, and for some reason you feel like that has to be your first gun, weird choice. But I would just get like a dedicated 45 Colt revolver. Not a great pick for a first gun, but for example, Ruger Red Hawk and 45 ACP / 45 Colt shoots both. Way better gun, excellent revolver by any measure. And if that just tickled your plums, regular viewers, go look at my old review video of that. It was actually pretty rad. I hate that I didn't use my writer discount to buy it whenever I was done with that review. But James, it also shoots 410. Okay, 410 slugs. What does that get you versus 45 Colt? Nothing. It also shoots buckshot. What does that get you? Also nothing. It's been shown that 410 buckshot, because of its linear alignment, like it's all in a line, it compresses the shot in front of it, so you end up shooting deformed, flattened lead discs instead of actual buckshot. But what about birdshot? Look, there's some value to all the guns on this list. If you're some kind of agoraphobe living on a rattlesnake den in hellhole West Texas, and the only thing you're looking for in a gun is something to protect yourself from snakes on the ranch and to shoot the pallet of 410 you inherited from your prepper uncle, and you can only afford to buy one gun, by all means, I guess, sounds like your gun. Go buy yourself a Ruger Clerk of the Court 410 45. I'm not telling you to not buy these guns ever. I'm just telling you it's a bad idea for your first gun. Number 4, regular viewers, you know, is the controversy slot, because you don't put an arguably good idea at the number 1 worst, but you certainly don't lead into the video with a popular option like cheap guns. There, I said it, cheap guns. Regular viewers expecting me to say this at some point because you all think I'm a gun snob. That may be true, but let me make my case here. Your first gun is crucial. Here's why. Number 1, you're probably going to learn the fundamentals of a handgun, which is the most challenging of all firearms to shoot on this gun. Think of it like your golf swing. Do you want to look like Charles Barkley? If you go out there all willy-nilly without doing any research or getting any instruction and with shitty equipment, there's a good chance you're going to develop bad habits that are going to take even longer to break than they took to develop learning how to do it the right way. I'm not saying that you can't learn decent fundamentals on a cheap gun. Not at all. I'm just saying that it's going to be easier for you to build confidence with a gun that's easy to use, that runs well, and we're not talking about a lot of money. You can spend as little as $300 on a good budget, compact, or full-size 9mm, have something reliable and fun to shoot. Are you going to win any matches with it? Obviously not. But are you going to hate it? It's one less variable to worry about when you're developing your skills. Related to that, your confidence. If you're taking out a gun that you hate to shoot and that you shoot poorly, how frequently do you think you're going to get to the range? How often do you think you're going to make sure that that gun is properly maintained, or familiarize yourself with the mechanics or with the ammunition? You know the answer as well as I do. If you get something reliable and fun to shoot, it's going to push you to go to the range a little bit more frequently. You're going to be more interested in the subject. Occasionally, I'm wrong. You could buy the cheap gun and you could have a great time with it, and you decide to step up. But what's the first thing you do? You sell that first gun you bought, the cheap one, at a loss, and then you buy yourself something that you read about on a forum or you saw on YouTube, which are both excellent, shitty resources, but what you should have gotten to begin with. So let's use some logic here. You're either going to buy your first gun and you're going to hate it, and the only gun that you ever own is going to be one that you never learn how to use or shoot properly. It could be unreliable as well, or you're going to love shooting it and you're going to get rid of that first gun. You're going to get something better like almost immediately. In other words, in either scenario, cheap gun, probably not a good idea. If it's all you can afford, sure. Although I think that saving up and spending just a little bit more on even like a trade-in Smith & Wesson M&P or a Glock is probably the better idea. I urge you to check out my oldest son, Hop Ignatius Reeves, his channel on YouTube. He goes over a lot of cheap shit that I threw him out of the house for having under his bed on that channel. I wish he was just like a pansexual furry, like everyone else's age, instead of a Spanish military surplus handgun enthusiast, but the Lord works in mysterious ways, and I'm sad that Hop will never see the kingdom of heaven. Number 3, and this one's a little controversial too. Anything not a 22, not a 9mm, or asterisk a 380. I just don't see the point. Why these 3 calibers? Well, 9mm, hands down the most popular caliber in America. It's used by the FBI, it's used by the military, it's used by most law enforcement agencies. If you're watching this video, you're getting a sneak preview of some content I'm about to run from the FBI. The section chief of ballistic research at the FBI told me on camera that 9mm in 2025 is just as effective as 40 while being cheaper, lighter recoiling, and greater capacity. No, you're not the chosen one who can see the 9mm conspiracy, recognize the superiority of whatever your pet caliber is, and that's why 9mm sucks. This is a reality check for you. Get help. But what about 22? Well, they've got virtually no recoil. They're super cheap. Are they great for personal defense? Absolutely not. But you can learn your fundamentals. You can get into shooting. You'll probably keep your 22 forever, especially when you step up to a center fire. When you learn how fun these are to shoot suppressed, you can get good range practice for cheap. If you can afford 2 guns, I would say get a 22 and a 9 before dropping like 900, $1,000 on one 9mm. Now I've got 380 here as a footnote. If you can't handle a 9mm and you can only afford to buy 1 gun and you need something for concealed carry or personal defense, here's your answer. You've got larger 380s like the Hellcat 380, the Beretta 80X, Smith & Wesson, that Shield EZ 380. My mom has one, she loves it. You can even get one of the older 380 Beretta Cheetahs that are being sold in the surplus market right now. I love those. Not to break one of my own rules from this list, but the original High Point 380 is massive, so it's got virtually no recoil, but it's still reliable, it's still cheap, and the trigger's actually not even awful. Modern 380 is still effective enough. If you're after a do-it-all pistol for personal defense, fun on the range, I'd say a larger frame 380. And on that note, we should really get into number 2 because they're a little interrelated. Number 2, micro compact 380s, Ruger LCPs, Keltec P380s, Smith & Wesson bodyguards, you name it, really tiny 380 handguns. Should you own them? Sure. If you can concealed carry, there's no reason to not own one of these guns. They're typically inexpensive, reliable, marginally effective. Great if you just need a backup gun or something to slide into your pocket going into a low-risk situation like walking the dog or walking a couple blocks to the bodega for a sixer before Saints kickoff or church. They're not bad guns. They're just inherently restricted by their size. I wouldn't tell someone to get like a 600cc crotch rocket as their first vehicle, just like I wouldn't tell anyone to get a Smith & Wesson bodyguard as their first gun. Eventually, as a second gun, sure. They're reliable enough, but they're not going to be as reliable as their larger counterparts, especially if you neglect maintenance, which you're more apt to do with your first gun. Manipulations with these smaller guns, it's a little bit more difficult. They're not optimal for learning the fundamentals and how to operate a gun and shoot it and build confidence. If you need a small gun, get a micro compact 9mm. If you need a small gun and 9mm is too much for you, look at those 380s I just mentioned that are larger 380s jammed like into 9mm frames. We're talking 380s being released in compact and subcompact chassis like those from Glock, Springfield Sig, Walther, Beretta. You'll get something that's only marginally harder to conceal, still functional, easier to shoot effectively. Number 1, I said I wasn't going to touch low-hanging fruit, but here we are a second time. If you are an experienced shooter watching this video, I'm pretty sure you already know what I'm going to say. So go ahead, pause the video right now, lock in your guess in the comments. This one's pretty obvious because I see it a lot. Almost every single class I have with beginners. Snub nose revolvers and 357 Magnum or 38 Special. Before we get started, because it may make a lot of people upset, this pick, are there situations where this is justified as your first gun? Yes. If you can only afford one quality handgun, you have a limited budget, semi-automatics are too daunting, too difficult for you to use, you want something as small and concealable as possible that you can fire from a jacket while being safe and reliable, you can only ever own one gun, maybe you want to shoot it through your purse or whatever, sure. But those are all very limited circumstances, and let me tell you why it's dangerous. It goes back to fundamentals. It's incredibly difficult to deprogram a newer shooter with a flinch. If I get 10 people in a concealed handgun class, all of them are new shooters, one or two of them, they're all going to have a flinch that's so wild that they're going to throw shots off paper from 5 yards away because they're anticipating the recoil of that shot, and they're either shoving the gun down or they're squeezing it for dear life the second that they expect the shot to break. It takes a long time to break shooters of this habit. It's far and away the most difficult problem to fix for new shooters. Sight picture, sight alignment, grip, stance, trigger press. I can fix all those things for you in a couple of minutes. A flinch, it can take years depending on how bad it is. And if you give a new shooter a gun with a long, heavy double action trigger and fierce snapping recoil, you're gonna give that to them as their first gun. They're gonna react like someone slammed a door around one of Charlie Sheen's girlfriends or something. 38 or God forbid 357 out of a small frame revolver with no reciprocating mass, no recoil spring to absorb that recoil, that's going to, in all likelihood, cause a new shooter to develop a flinch. Not to mention they almost always have terrible sights, terrible triggers, or at least long, heavy double action triggers. Some of them are double action only, limited capacity, usually just 5 rounds while being slow to reload as well. Even if you can shoot one well, it's still a relatively poor choice for recreational or defensive purposes, except in niche cases. I've got a few. I just wouldn't have one as my first one. I've said it a bunch of times in this video. Your first gun, critical as a new shooter. It's going to determine how confident you are, your enthusiasm, your interest in training in the hobby, making yourself better moving forward. It's going to dictate how good or bad sessions are at the range for you. And one day, it could even save your life. It's important that you choose something carefully. I hope this video today helped you. If you need further help, like on the phone, call Top Gun Supply. I've known Tom and Michelle Allen for decades. They will literally walk you through your decision for free. They're good people, even if they live in Ohio. You also have an opportunity to win a $250 Top Gun gift card every single month by supporting us at subscribestar.com/TFBTV, because we give away 6 to our supporters every single month. But as usual, thank you so much for watching and take care.